Hi there, welcome to Cello Tuesdays. I am Diane Chaplin, and this evening I'm going to be playing a program that is mostly Latin American music. This is the sort of paired program with last week's concert, which was Music of Spain, and I'm exploring the cross-fertilization that happened between Spain and the Spanish colonies in Latin America. So today I'm going to start with a piece, the one thing on the program that is not written by someone of Hispanic heritage, so far as I know. I don't want to misspeak, but Minsky is a cellist from New York, not under the impression that he has any Hispanic in his heritage, but while he was on a trip to Mexico, he wrote this very beautiful piece called Mexican Nights. And in the piece, he describes three representative styles that come from the Spanish style and are basically now embedded in Mexican culture and Mexican music. The first is declarative, which is this very free opening section. The second he calls a romantic style, and this is all pizzicato, plucking, which is something that is imitating a guitar, and this is a very like a serenade almost from the guitar. And then the last section is the Mexican fiesta. So this is a piece that was written in 2009, Mexican Nights by Minsky. So the next place we're going to travel to is Chile, to hear a dance called the Cueca. The Cueca is the national dance of Chile. It's a very important part of their Independence Day celebration, which happens in Chile on September 18th. And it's really considered to be a dance that embodies the expression of Chilean spirit. And this is a really good example of a dance that has cross-pollinated from Spain and into the area where there would have been indigenous peoples, of course, because there were people here when the Spaniards arrived, or not here, but there, here too, but there. And so this is a cross-pollination between the indigenous peoples who would have been in Chile and the Spaniards coming back and forth. It's a really fun dance, and it's not a very serious dance. It's a dance that imitates a courting ritual, but it's a courting ritual of a rooster and a hen. So the movements are a little bit chicken-like. It's usually a partner's dance, and the two people do kind of figure eights on the floor around each other while waving a white handkerchief. It's actually super cute, and they sometimes wear like funny costumes when they do it. During the dance, the musicians call out vuelta, which means go back around, and in this case the partners kind of cross over and exchange places. The composer has written in for me to yell vuelta 3 times, so you will hear that going on during the music. There is a real classic 6/8 pattern division where the music alternates between 3s and 2s. We'll hear that a little clearly in some of the other music, but it often goes like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, as well as some kind of syncopated rhythms. And at the beginning, I think you'll hear this introduction where people are milling around waiting for the dance to start. Then the band starts up, and finally the dance starts. So this is by a Chilean composer named José Luis Sanchez, Preludio y Cueca. I hope you think that piece is as charming as I do. I just love it. It's really fun to play, and I hope it's fun to listen to also. I think it's just quirky and wonderful. The next piece is going to be the opposite of that. It is not a particularly fun piece, and in fact, I think it has a pretty melancholy quality about it. We're going to travel to Puerto Rico now for a piece by the composer Angelica Negron Rodriguez, who is a Puerto Rican composer who lives in the US, but she still goes back and forth between Puerto Rico. Well, Puerto Rico is basically part of the US, but she goes back to the island and does projects there. She writes a lot of really interesting things, including with toys and robotics and electronics. But this piece is pretty straightforward. It was written in 2005, and it's called Alguien, sube por el camino inventado, which means roughly someone is going up the invented or imagined path. And I invite you to, as you listen to it, to maybe make your own story about what's going on. For me, partly based on some indications in the score, she writes furious, desperate, sad, very expressive, very sad. And the piece is slow for most of the time, except when it's desperate. And I feel that it's the idea of this someone going up an invented path is maybe they've made bad choices or things came out not how they hoped they would, because I think that there's a, as I say, there's a really melancholy quality to the piece. Another thing that permeates the piece is the idea of lowness, of maybe sinking as low as one can, because you'll notice 6 times it actually happens that the C string, which is my lowest note, the music slides down or pulls down to that note and just stops on the note. And for me, that really feels like a dark and deep place that the music is resting. So this is Alguien sube por el... I'm going to try it again. Alguien sube por el camino inventado by Angelica Negron Rodriguez.
If you have thoughts about what came to you during that performance, I'd love to see that. I look at the chat after I'm done playing. I find it distracting while I'm playing, but I will read your comments if you would like to let me know what you thought during that piece. Okay, so now we're going to go to Cuba for a dance called the Guajiras. Sometimes things are songs and dances both, for sure, in some of these kind of music. So there are places where this is referred to as a dance and places where it's referred to as a song. I just want to mention that I know I'm saying both those things. This is a piece by a Spanish composer named Rogelio, Huguet, y Tagell. I played one of the movements from his second Suite Espagnole, second suite, Spanish suite. I can't figure out what language I'm speaking. His second Spanish suite last week. I played the Zapatallado, and this is Guajiras, which is a dance that comes from Cuba. Again, it is a real example of cross-pollination, and in fact, this is a song that is specifically called Cantas de ida y vuelta, which means round-trip songs. And there's that word vuelta, which in the Cueca dance meant go back around, right? So this vuelta idea is that this is music that traveled back and forth, went back and forth between Spain and Cuba. And there was definitely cross-fertilization between the Spanish musical traditions, the indigenous people in Cuba, and the African slaves that the Spaniards brought over and forced to work for all their various activities. So those groups of people contributed to the development of this form.
Then after the Guajiras kind of existed in Cuba, they took it back to Spain, where it became part of flamenco culture, and it's considered to be the most maybe mellow and laid back of the flamenco forms, and I think you'll hear that in this piece. You'll again notice, as in so many of these works, the pizzicato that is imitative of the guitar, and again we have this 3-2 rhythmic pattern. In this case, alternating throughout the entire work, you'll hear 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, and 2, and 3, and 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, and 2, 3, and every single, that pattern alternates the entire time. That's one of the hallmarks of this particular dance. So I have a poem to read. This is the poem that the composer wrote to accompany this edition. I will paraphrase. O dance that comes from the Antilles, your strange rhythm is so sweet that the heart of the Andalusians, even the most proud, trembles. This is Guajiras by Rogelio, Huguet, and Tagell. final piece on the program is actually 3 movements by Jose Elizondo, a work called Danzas Latinoamericanas. And this is a work that takes us to 3 different countries. Jose himself is from Mexico. And one of the reasons that I wanted to play this program today is because Cinco de Mayo is tomorrow. I hope those of you who choose to celebrate Cinco de Mayo will do it with respect for the beauty and culture of Mexico. You know, it's not a big holiday in Mexico, right? We all know that here in Portland. We all tell each other as we come close to Cinco de Mayo that it's not a thing that's celebrated very intensely in Mexico. But I did read some people saying, you know, for a lot of Americans, it's actually, they feel like it's a day that they want to celebrate. So I urge you to celebrate with respect, and this is my contribution towards Cinco de Mayo, is just enjoying the beauty of the Latin American culture in general, and about to have some Mexican music in specific. But I also want to encourage you, if you are so inclined, to possibly contemplate donating towards a border organization that might help people from Mexico and from Latin American countries who are having issues with immigration. So that's my little plug for a way to celebrate Cinco de Mayo. Okay, this is Danzas Latinoamericanas, and the very first movement takes us to Argentina. This is Otoño en Buenos Aires, which means autumn in Buenos Aires. And Jose was very inspired by the tangos of Piazzolla, as well as an Argentinian singer named Carlos Gardel, who, even though he died in 1935, he is still like super popular in Argentina. And he, about 100 years ago, was responsible for kind of bringing the tango song into the modern era. So he's a crooner from that era. I'm just gonna check here. So this is Otoño en Buenos Aires by Jose Elizondo. Next we go to Brazil. And this is called Pan de Açúcar, also by Jose Elizondo. Pan de Açúcar is Sugarloaf Mountain, which is in Rio, and a very famous and beautiful place there. And this movement in particular is inspired by the songs of Jobim, famous Brazilian songwriter, and also Villa-Lobos, who certainly wrote a lot of things for cello. All you cellists out there know the music of Villa-Lobos. So this is Pan de Açúcar by Jose Elizondo. And finally, we're going to end up where we began, in Mexico, and with a bit of a fiesta. As the first piece referenced the Mexican fiesta, so does this one. This is, again, by Jose Elizondo, and he is Mexican, so this is a piece about the joy and beauty of his homeland, and his pride in his homeland. This is called Sunset in Guadalajara. Thank you so much for listening in. I hope you had a good time. I know I did. I'm going to be doing another one of these Cello Tuesdays in 4 weeks, the first Tuesday of June, which is the first day of June, June 1st. Thanks so much and see you again soon.